Hello and good evening, everyone. Welcome to this edition of the Klown podcast. I'm your host, Scott Brooks. My co-host, my ace, Dwayne Nash. Check him out on the Yard HBCU Sports and raps about all things HBCU Sports. See the background there? I know you do because I do. And also, please check out SLZE Radio, aka Sleazy Radio, every Tuesday night on Facebook Live. They did the damn thing last night, so please check him out, Coach and Sweet Lou. You won't regret it. And last but not least, his great work on herosports.com. We talks about FCS athletics, expectation HBCUs. I include some links last week, or like to his sites and everything. So I'm gonna continue to do it for the rest of the way, so you get familiar with his great work. So, because we talked about black like writers and pundits covering black college sports. So I think more of those came out the word. I know people on Twitter gave us shouts out for that.
Oh, no doubt.
Including your boy, not Tully, but his partner, gave us a shout out this past week.
Stephen Gaither?
No, Willie, not Willie, but I forget his name.
Wally Pitts.
Wally Pitts, yeah, him. So we might have him on the show in the future. So that gave me an idea about that. But anyway, but check those links out in the description. When I upload this baby to I said Facebook, YouTube tomorrow. Also, you see the website, The Klown Times. So www.theklowntimes.net. That is my sports blog. So I'm gonna put out some more content on Urban Meyer tomorrow, if not later tonight, which we're gonna get into later on this evening, which I may not get to. And as well, the merchandise.
Get that merch.
CafePress.com, search for The Klown Times Sports. The link will be in the description with the others once I upload this to YouTube tomorrow, and you'll find the gear there as well, and you'll be glad to get the gear as well. And one more thing before we start, please continue to like, subscribe, and comment. We picked up a few more subscribers this week, so I'm happy about that. So please continue to check us out. Please continue to like, share, and comment. Even if you don't like what we said, if you want to say kiss my ass, fine. I'll tell you to kiss my ass right back. So it's all good with me. So anyway, please continue to like, share, and comment, and subscribe, and spread the word. You'd be glad you did that as well. So,
yes, please.
I teased Urban Meyer earlier, but I want to get into it first, what we talked about last week, which was a big game in college football, UC and Notre Dame. Remember, if you all recall from last week, you have our guy, Andre Edwards on here, who's all things Cincinnati sports. He mentioned what he felt UC had to do to get to at least get some love for the playoff committee, college football playoff committee, because no one from the group of five had finished higher than eighth. I looked it up. No one finished higher than eighth in this 5-6 year history, maybe 7, of the college football playoff. So we laid it out last week, right? UC had to do the damn thing at Notre Dame, right? And then have chaos around them to help bolster their case.
Yes.
Well, believe it or not, both happened. Both things happened. You had chaos. Mm-hmm. Oregon losing to Stanford.
Stanford, yeah.
I mean, and then you had like you had, of course, Iowa won their game. Penn State won their game. They play this weekend. Mm-hmm. That's gonna be fucking huge. Right.
Yes.
And then you had UCLA losing. They got spanked actually, and you had Arkansas and Ole Miss getting the humbling. Remind themselves that they're not Georgia and Alabama respective. They got that little reminder. Great, good teams, good stories, but they're not on that level just yet.
They're not on that level yet.
Okay.
No.
Florida lost, and somehow, some way, they were still ranked. I don't know why they're still ranked. They lost 2 games. Go figure that. But I say all that to say this. With Penn State and Iowa facing each other, with Ohio State not being the best team, in my opinion, in the Big Ten right now, I mean, you got Michigan State, Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State in the same division.
Yeah.
They all have to play each other. So no one's it's going to be highly unlikely that anyone comes out of there unscathed.
Yeah.
With at least one loss. And Ohio State with that loss to Oregon is not looking.
But so they already have that one loss, yeah.
Because Oregon took on the chin against Stanford, so that's not looking good. And so, I would, if they get past Penn State, who's going to challenge them in the West Division? I thought it would be Wisconsin, but Wisconsin ain't looking all that good. And Northwestern, what the hell happened to Northwestern?
Yeah, right.
And so Nebraska, they still wishing they're in the Big 12. But anyway, so it's going to be, what's going to come down to is this. Probably two SEC teams, if Alabama and Georgia keep winning until they meet each other in the conference final.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe if Iowa wins out, or whichever comes out of the Big Ten as a one-loss team. So that fourth spot going to come down to, we know the ACC is out at this point, unless more chaos happens. So it's going to look like it's either an ACC team, a Pac-12 team, or UC if they keep winning out, or maybe the Big 12. But still, the Big 12 is like right now. And if the college football playoff, they do it every year. They take who you beat. So guess who has the best win so far? Cincinnati does.
It will be Cincinnati, yes.
They have right now, they have the best win of the season. And they're still coasting. So anyway, man, I say this. Is there a way, let me ask you, is there a way? Say like if they stay as they are right now, if things can't progress as they are right now, from this point. If Cincinnati wins the table and everything else takes place, could the college football playoff really count Cincinnati out if things progress the way they're progressing right now?
Yes, they could. And let me give you an example how, right?
Okay.
I mean, we already know who the usual suspects are in this situation, right? So say Alabama and Georgia do go undefeated and they make it to the SEC championship game. And that game is close. That's a way to somehow keep both SEC teams in the top four.
Yeah.
Then
that's going to happen regardless. I think that's going to happen. I think that's definitely going to happen.
Exactly, right? Mm-hmm. So you have that situation, and then we have that looming monster that's currently ranked number 7. That's Ohio State. And I bring them up because, okay, what if Iowa beats Penn State and that game is close?
Yes.
Right?
Right.
And then Ohio State then runs the table. And if they do that, of course, they end up having to face Penn State in 2 weeks.
Right.
Then after that, they got Michigan State. If they can play well, continue to play well, they'll be top 10 potentially.
Right.
Well, whoever wins that, no, because that'll be the last week of the season. So yeah, so they'll play against Michigan, who will probably be top 10. Michigan State, I'm sorry.
Michigan looks good.
And then the following week, Michigan, who will probably be top 10. So if they're capable of beating, well, I'll go ahead and be nice and say 3 top 15 programs, especially if one of those is top 5, and then they go and beat Iowa. If Iowa wins, but it's a close game, do I be conspiracy brother now and say 2 SEC and 2 Big Ten teams in the playoffs?
Slugging it out, yeah. 2 most powerful conferences.
Is that unbelievable? No. It will be a way, of course, to keep Cincinnati out, even though they play wonderfully right now, right? But at that point, you're now talking about an Ohio team and leading up between now and the end of the season that will probably have played and beaten 4 top 15 programs. Yeah. And they would be a conference champ.
Right.
That would give the committee an excuse to place them into the playoffs. But again, if Iowa also wins out and that
they might do that. They
game,
very well,
which is very possible, right?
Yeah.
If they win out, and that's a close loss to Ohio State, that's probably exactly how this thing plays out.
Yeah.
As much as I would hate to see it, but would love to see it at the same time, because you know me, I love chaos and I love conspiracies. That would be the way that could happen.
Yeah, and that's what was working against UC, because again, they got the great win at Notre Dame. I think Notre Dame was all said and done, is going to finish the top 15 team in the college football playoff poll. The Big Ten is so fucking good this year.
Yeah.
So fucking good. And so is SEC. So yeah, I can see it. Unfortunately, it would be fucked up. But
it would be, right?
But I can see it. Now, because again, I'm not mad at Alabama and Georgia. Mm-hmm. They're both great. I mean, I know Clemson sucks, but but Georgia did play. It wasn't a true road game, but it was a Charlotte. Mm-hmm. It was practically a Clemson home game, and they beat Clemson, who at the time was the top 14.
Yeah.
They just violated Arkansas. God damn. And they only did it with a guy who completed, a young man who's a backup quarterback who completed 72 yards. Because most of the scores came off of the running game and defense.
Yeah.
Turnovers. So that's what they bludgeoned by having to throw about having making the use of the forward pass. And they beat Alabama 37-0. That's just crazy. But and Alabama, I don't see anybody beat Alabama anyway. That's just me. So again, that's why I'm not mad at those two. The Big Ten, I think the Big Ten gets someone in regardless. Mm-hmm. I think they're that powerful this year. They're a damn good league. It's just a matter of how many. So that's really the only thing that could upset the apple cart, because I don't see anybody from the Big 12 challenging. I don't see anybody from the Pac-12 challenging, especially after Oregon lost. Of course, the ACC is like, who gives a shit now? So, I mean, if Wake Forest is your bell cow, and I grew up only 10 miles from Wake Forest, right?
Yeah.
So if Wake Forest is your bell cow at number 8, I think they're ranked 18th now. If they're your bell cow, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. So, no disrespect to Wake Forest. I think they're well coached. I think they're pretty good. I don't think they're elite.
No.
They haven't played in any elite schedule.
They haven't played in any elite schedule either, yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. So, which goes back to NC State. If NC State, if we didn't shit the bed against Mississippi State, which I don't think is not really that good, we'd be sitting prettier than we are right now. We're at 23 now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm still mad about that. But anyway, the point is that I think UC still has a shot, right? They still have a shot. Again, went out.
Yeah.
You have no excuse now. You beat Notre Dame. You beat Indiana the week before. They're both on the road. 2 Power 5s in the road. You got that on your belt. Now, you got Temple at home tomorrow night. Temple's not great, but they're not bad either.
No.
So you got to show up against them. So I got that schedule up somewhere. I'm going to pull it up right quick. So they got UCF. So you got Temple, UCF the next 2 weeks at home. Mm-hmm. UCF, they're 2-2, but they're doing competitive. They're coached by Gus Malzahn now, formerly of Auburn. So I think they had a big injury at quarterback though, but still the point is they got the competitive pedigree, which is why they, along with UC and Houston, are on the way to the Big 12. So the road games are at Navy, at Tulane, at South Florida, and at ECU to close the season, right? Mm-hmm. They play SMU as another good team, but they get them at home near the end. They're ranked 24th right now. So basically, you say the toughest opponents they have coming here to Nippert Stadium. That's the toughest opponents. The weakest opponents that play on the road. Mm-hmm. So I think it sets up really nicely for them. So as long as they continue to win out, and they're ranked 5th right now, UC is.
Yeah.
That's the highest I think a group of 5 has been in a long time.
In a very long time.
So they're right at the doorstep. So I think the voters are showing them a lot of respect. And so again, I think numbers 3 and 4, Penn State and Iowa play each other this week.
They do.
And so basically, depending how lopsided the result is, one of those may drop below 5 if UC wins. So if basically what may happen is come next week, this time next week, UC may be in the top 4.
They could be, right? And this is the thing. I'm already married to the fact that the top 4 will consist of teams from the SEC,
Right.
Big Ten, and Cincinnati.
Correct.
The question is, who will the 4 be? Because, like we've said already, as of right now, it is highly capable that both Alabama and Georgia can run the table. The
Right.
only one, of course, that I'm currently afraid of not doing so is Georgia, because as everyone knows that have seen me before, I always believe that Georgia's going to Georgia.
Yeah,
So
they go do
that's the
Georgia
one-
things. Yes.
Yeah, right. So, but they still have the ability to do so. They still have the ability to run the table. And if they both do, just like Ohio State, Iowa, or Penn State, if either one of those 3 run the table in the Big Ten, they both have resumes to say that they're good enough to be in the playoffs, even if they have 1 win. Well, or even if Ohio State has that 1 loss, I'm sorry, which was, of course, at the time against an Oregon team that rolls up to number 3.
Right.
So they're going to need, Cincinnati is, to hands down say we're in without any argument. They're going to need one of those 5 programs to have 2 losses. They're
Right.
going to, because with 1, it still might not be strong enough because of their remaining games that those programs have against teams that are going to be in the top 20.
Right. That's the thing. So we'll see,
Unless
man.
those
Go ahead.
teams
Mhm.
drop out of the top 25 as well. So
Right.
if one of those teams take a loss, see Florida, who's currently ranked 20th. If those teams make a tumble, then it weakens their resume and it gives more credence to what Cincinnati does. But if it doesn't,
Right.
and it's still strong enough and those teams are ranked when they beat them, then they have the argument to say that, hey, we belong in the playoffs too.
Well, I lied when I said that UC's playing tomorrow night, Temple tomorrow. They played Friday night. That's my bad. They played Friday night on ESPN.
Okay.
So yeah, that should be interesting. But check out these. So speaking of this coming week, this weekend, man, check out the slate of. I know that Coastal Carolina plays tomorrow night, which is another good story. But they're probably going to get shitted on because it's not their fault, but their schedule.
It's scheduling, yeah.
It's scheduling. They only Power 5 out of conference is Kansas.
Mhm.
And it's Kansas football. So who gives?
Exactly, right? Which is why I didn't bring up BYU. I know there are a lot of people out there who love BYU, but I'm like,
Mhm.
okay, who have they beaten and who will they potentially beat?
Right.
And as of right now, no one.
They play Boise State this weekend. Yeah. They
Yeah.
and they beat Utah and Arizona State, but you can argue Utah is probably a bit overrated. Arizona State is like, yeah,
Exactly, right?
Mhm.
So, their resume isn't as impressive as those other teams could potentially be, especially if they do what we anticipate them doing. So that's why I didn't include BYU either. But once again, any given Saturday.
And you know what? They do play at Baylor in 2 weeks. BYU does. They play at Baylor. And they play at USC at the end of the season. I know USC tends to be overrated, but they're very talented. They play at they host Virginia and they go to Washington State. But I'm gonna keep my eye out on Baylor next week. Because if they beat Baylor, then their schedule isn't piss poor like it was last year.
Yeah.
Because they beat Arizona. Again, Arizona sucks, but they're Power 5. Arizona, Utah, Arizona State to begin the season. 3 Power 5s. They play Baylor. They play Washington State. They play Virginia, and they play USC. They got 7 Power 5s.
Yes.
Right. So it has a little bit of teeth, but it's not like Notre Dame's. Right.
No.
The point is that it's not fluff. And it starts with Boise State to me this weekend to see what they do, because Boise State, they're known to put up a surprise or two, no matter what the record is. So we'll see. BYU is ranked 10th. So they're sitting pretty too. So they, again, chaos. That's the magic word. Chaos.
Yeah, but you know what? In order for BYU, in my opinion, to make it in, not only were those teams, a lot has to happen.
Yeah.
Those two teams that I talked, those potential two teams in both the SEC and the Big Ten will both have to have 2 losses, and Cincinnati has to lose.
Right.
And they have to run the table in order for it to be a conversation for BYU.
Yo, but I mentioned the matchups earlier. Check out this, man. You got the Red River rivalry, Oklahoma and Texas, right?
Yeah. And before you continue real quick, well, Oklahoma has not done anything impressive to me.
Right.
They have not beaten anyone handily. They haven't really covered the spread this season at all, except for the one time they played against Western Carolina.
Yeah.
Dude, you, me, and 22 other people. No, let me stop lying. Them young boys will probably come up here and beat the brakes off me if I say that lie. But still, they're supposed to beat Western Carolina by a lot. But the teams, Tulane, who they struggled against, and then there were some other teams on their schedule who they haven't handled.
West Virginia should have beaten them.
Handily.
West Virginia should have beaten them. Yes.
Yeah, right. And that's the thing. Those are teams that they haven't beaten by more than a touchdown or relatively close or closer than what it should have been. But they haven't been covering their spread at all.
Yeah.
And again, yes, they've dominated Texas. I expect them to do it again, but I don't see a win over Texas being impressive enough to get them in the top 4. I don't. No.
And then you have Arkansas, the 2 teams that tried to go up against Alabama and Georgia last week and got spanked. They play each other this week. Arkansas at Ole Miss. I knew as well. Then the 3:30 p.m. game, the oldest rivalry in the Deep South, Georgia, Auburn. That's going to be
Auburn.
busy. That's going to be busy.
Yeah.
And then I mentioned Penn State, Iowa, at 4 o'clock on Fox. I'm going to watch that game. An intriguing matchup, though, I think, is Notre Dame at Virginia Tech. Notre Dame is only favored by 1 point.
Yeah, right. And if I'm noted, well, you know what? I don't know if they pay attention to the lines, quite possibly. But I'll say this though, because you said it's going to be in Blacksburg, right?
Correct.
It's going to be in Blacksburg. Virginia Tech looked good beating North Carolina early in the season.
They did.
What is their record right now? Are they undefeated?
They're 3-1. They lost.
3-1. They
lost to West Virginia. They fell behind big early, and they came from behind and got stopped on a 4th and goal that would have tied and won the game, possibly won the game. They lost 27-21.
Gotcha. I mean, yes, most definitely this game does not have playoff implications. Not at this point. Because if Notre Dame beats them, they're supposed to beat them. If Virginia Tech beats them, then okay, they beat Notre Dame, who lost the previous week, struggled against Florida State, and So it'll be a nice win for them to say that, it'd be great for them as they move forward next year.
Yeah.
But as of this year, it doesn't have any playoff.
Yeah, I think Virginia Tech's much better this year than they were last year. I think. Yeah. Again, they blew a game. They fell behind big against West Virginia. They on the road that was the game that was in Morgantown, West Virginia. They fell behind big early, and they almost came from behind to win it at the end. But they wish they had that game back. But because I think they got stopped twice on 4th down before that final drive where they lost the 4th and goal.
Scott, I have to ask this quick question only because this dude has a little bit of an attachment to my heart, and I still wish he would have stayed in Greensboro, but I get it. What's the quarterback that used to be at Virginia Tech?
Herndon, right?
Year?
Herndon Hooker.
Yeah, Herndon Hooker. Yeah. So is the current quarterback at Tech, is he looking better than Hooker is right now?
He's decent. He's not better than Hooker, in my opinion, but he's not losing games. Let's put it that way. The kid,
gotcha.
He's been there forever. Let me bring up the roster here right quick.
So it's Tech's Burmeister. Okay, so it's their defense and their special teams that has improved in order for them to 3-1 right now. Gotcha.
The defense is much better. The special teams are starting to play better beam of ball. But they're getting more out of the running game. So it's basically they're going back to the future, if that makes any sense.
It makes perfect sense. Yeah.
So I think he's a junior. This kid, Braxton Burmeister, is a junior, so he'll be back next year. Let me check his stats right quick. He has, oh gosh, trying to get his stats up here. He's 5 touchdowns, 1 interception.
Okay.
Not bad, not bad.
Not bad at all.
Right, he's completed 61% of his passes.
Not bad, yeah.
Not bad. So he's not losing games. And even in that loss to West Virginia, he didn't play poorly. He was 19 of 31 for 223 yards and 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. He was sacked 6 times.
That's not bad at all. Yeah.
Right. He was sacked six times, but other than that, he has played pretty well. He's played pretty well. So he hasn't been losing any games per se. I think it's be a springboard for next year for Virginia Tech. I really think that. I think they'll be better next year. But it's not a here nor there. But yeah, but there's a lot of big matchups this weekend. So I'm going to keep an eye out. And with my ass part to fund the television, start at noon of Oklahoma and Texas. But it's a potential to have more chaos, right?
Yeah.
Think about it. All those games, that's potentially be more chaos. So we'll see. But that's what makes college football so great. Because like you said, let the pizza bake. Don't get high so quickly. I mean, we talking about UC right now, sure. But anything can happen.
Anything can happen.
Especially
in college football. Yes.
Anything can happen.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's great. I'm looking forward to it, man. And yeah, it's gonna be hype. It's gonna be hype. Speaking of interesting and chaotic, let's talk about Urban Meyer, shall we? We could easily spend a whole show on to your word, this Bama. We all know what he did.
Yes.
How he did it.
Yes.
He was the great.
Yeah, we saw exactly how he did it.
Yeah.
We saw exactly how he did it. We saw from 2 different angles how he did it.
Yes, we did.
Oh yeah.
We did.
It's always the second shooter. It's always the second shooter. Always the second shooter yeah, boy.
I mean, look, I know he's been taking the task like Rob Parker and Chris Broussard. They had some good points about his behavior. I mean, hell, Rob Parker called for him to be fired, possibly, because of the way the reports came out later that apparently that he's lost the locker room.
Yes, I've heard that
because he skipped out on they played Thursday night, right? They lost a heartbreaker to Cincinnati.
A heartbreaker to Cincinnati. Yes, sir. They were up 14-0.
Yep.
Yeah.
And they could have been 21 enough if they didn't stop him on 4th down.
Yeah.
So you saw the press conference. He was very emotional after that loss. He was like, look, our guys didn't throw the ball. We played well. I feel really bad for those guys. They're good guys. He looked downtrodden, eyes bloodshot. He was downtrodden for his guys. But normally you go back with your team, travel back with the team. Friday's an off day anyway. It wouldn't have been a big deal. But the fact of the matter is, he chose not to travel with the team. Okay, he has family in Ohio. He's an Ohio kid. He went to UC for undergrad. And he wanted to visit his grandkids. I get all that. But he got in trouble, really, for not practicing what he preaches to his players. He skipped out on film session with his staff to go over what didn't go right against Cincinnati, how to build upon what went right against Cincinnati going forward. And instead, he used the cover of wanting to spend time with his grandkids to go hang out at his bar, his restaurant. And, in Columbus, a lot of people know who Urban Meyer is. And, with his wife tweeted that she was babysitting the grandkids because she wanted to get loose anyway. His wife had to be sitting there going, what the entire fuck? And he has daughters.
Exactly, right?
And he has daughters. No sons. I don't think he has any sons. I think he has all daughters.
No, I think he has a son that's on the staff of the Ohio
okay. State. Okay, my bad. So that's that one son, because I think he has at least 2 daughters.
Okay.
So he's a girl dad almost, essentially. So for his daughters to see that, and his son for that matter to see that, and he had to do a lot of apologizing. He said he did. I'm imagining he did, because word on the street is, again, his family was mad. They were mad at him. Especially his wife and daughters were really mad at him. And rightfully so. I came out and did a video, man, that said, look, we've seen this time and time again, right? Famous sports figures, at least on the professional level, who have frailties. I'm not excusing what Urban did. I'm just telling you he's human. He's a man with a dick. He's a famous man with money with a dick. Let's just be real, okay? And, you know, who knows what else he did with that young lady or ladies. But still, the point is, he got caught red-handed, converting with these young women, when he should have been back with his team because, there you go. Because again, what's undefeated, untied besides Father Time? Sex.
God.
That's
I don't know, man. I went 12 rounds a couple of times. My decision. It's tough. It's a tough fight. It is a tough fight to say no. My God.
Yes.
Ooh.
I'm just saying, bro.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
Sometimes I should have said no, but yes, yeah. Turning it down. Yeah. What did Dre say? I never say never because I know I just might. So yeah. You know, Dres was on that one. Shout out to Black Sheep. But yes, it is very difficult, especially if they're your type, they look attractive, and they're grinding on you like that. Yeah,
I'm telling you, he's a rich, famous man with a dick. That's what happens. Yeah, especially if you go back to a place like Columbus where you won a national title.
Where you're a god.
Love you. Where you're a god. Yeah. You're a god in Columbus to this day. But anyway, getting back to the video I made. Look. Again, we've seen this time and time again, right? Coaches, players, like front office owners. Remember Jerry Jones last year? So
normally it's players and owners. You don't necessarily see a ton of coaches get involved in this situation.
Well, then your old coach get in this situation, Jay Gruden, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago, maybe.
Wow.
He was up for Gordon with some chick or chicks.
You know what? I vaguely remember. I have to look back on that. I'm not going to say no because I don't want anyone to think I'm a homer. Right. I'm not going to say no. I'm just going to say I vaguely remember. I might have to check it out and see exactly what it was because I thought that if he did it, that the family was capable of getting over it because if memory serves me, that they were still married when he left. But it's not above him to not do it. But yeah.
It's above me now. But anyway, I had to throw that in. But look, I did a video again that said, look, as long as Urban Meyer finds a way to turn this season around, he hasn't become more competitive like it was against Cincinnati last week. And start winning football games, start to build a winning culture in the foundation, help Trevor Lawrence become the stud that we all think he's going to be on this level. I think it all will eventually be forgotten. But like I said, while referenced Rob Parker and Chris Broussard, because if this is bad, if it's about a leadership thing. So if this is as bad as they say it is in Jacksonville right now, they say apparently that he talked to the players. He didn't meet with all the players at once. At first, did it by positions. And they all laughed behind his back. Not only laughed behind his back, Urban Meyer knew they were laughing at him. So he may have lost the locker room. Now, if he's lost the locker room and get together, they may find a reason. They being Shad Khan, the owner, who reprimanded him. I mean, a grown man reprimanded another grown-ass man. It's funny. But
I mean, it's boss to employee, though.
That is true. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. I mean, let's take players off the field. Anyway, the point is.
Oh, yeah. But no, don't get me wrong, right? I mean, I've been reprimanded a couple of times by my boss, right? But it's that type feeling you get. Do you like, dude, I'm still a man, though. Watch exactly how you say what you're going to say. I want you to talk to me as if you was talking to me if we was on the streets and you didn't know me. Right. There's a way of reprimanding me and still respecting me as a person. Right. So, but yeah, do that. But you're right. It's tough for Jacksonville as of right now.
So what do you think, Scott? I mean, because I know Urban refuted the rumors of USC, possibly other schools. Oh, by the way, speaking of college, I meant to shout out Mel Tucker for doing the damn thing in Michigan State. I'll be remiss if I didn't shout him out. One of the few black coaches in Division I. Doing the damn thing at Michigan State. So I meant to shout him out. So my bad.
Yeah.
But anyway, getting back to this. USC, possibly LSU may have a vacancy. Miami may have a vacancy as well because Manny Diaz is not doing a good job again. So he shut down those rumors, right? He shot down the possibilities.
As he should, right?
And he should. He definitely should because it was maybe looking like Nick Saban all over.
Yeah, right. But if he can only shoot down the advances of women like that, though.
Well, again, rich man he's a rich man with a dick. That's happens.
I'm just messing with him. But yeah, right.
But the point is if he doesn't get is it fair to say that he may be like, holy shit, what did I get myself into? Please fire me, right? So I can have a reason to go back to the collegiate ranks. But if you're a college, would you hire him if you're a college?
Yes.
Or university?
Right?
Oh, you would? Okay.
I would, because you know what? I've seen what he's done on this level. And I also understand that guys on this level that succeed, of course, are going to want to go to the next level and see if they can succeed there too.
Right.
And a lot of times it doesn't work out,
right?
Especially nowadays, right?
So
it doesn't. Right. It's a long list of them Bamas. So just because it didn't work out there doesn't mean that it won't work out here. Right. So or back down here, if you will. So I most definitely would take my chances on this dude and bring him in to turn around my program. The thing is, though, there's a little dirt on him right now.
Oh, there's a lot of dirt on him right now.
Yeah, the thing is whether or not or how quickly it'll take for him to clean it off. But we all know success is the best cleaning agent. So that's all it would take for him to go somewhere, be successful there, and it'll wash right over him. But I don't know if he's necessarily looking to get fired, but it's not looking good for him right now. Like you said, the coach has already the owner has already reprimanded him. The players, they said they're starting to lose him, and this is his next group of next 4 games. Yeah. They're at home against Tennessee. They're at home against the Dolphins. They go on the road to Seattle, and they go to Buffalo. Do you see a win on any of those 4?
Now, before Buffalo, what are the other 3? Before Buffalo?
It's at home against Tennessee.
Lost.
At home against Miami. On the road, it may be, right? Especially we're still trying to figure out what's going on with what's the Tua, right? In that quarterback situation. Correct. Seattle on the road, and then they got Buffalo at the crib.
The last 2 will be big L's.
Yeah, right? Yeah. So if that's 0-8 and you've already lost the locker room, it's only going to get worse before it gets better. And then after that, these are the remaining games. Okay, they got the Niners at home. They got Atlanta at home. Anything's possible. Right. Then they got the Rams, the Titans again on the road. The Texans, again, anything's possible, even though they lost to them in the beginning of the season.
Yeah, they got to ask about it.
The Jets, again, anything's possible, but the Jets got them a big win this weekend. Mm-hmm. The Patriots, and then the Colts again. So, dude, at best, they can go 3-14 with a lost locker room and ownership that doesn't like you. Now, I understand the Cons have a lot of money, right? And it seems like they're tossing a lot of... Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But they're tossing a lot of money at their other venture, AEW, or All Elite Wrestling, for those that don't know, which is actually doing a wonderful job right now, picking up a lot of WWE's throwaways. Actually, I shouldn't even call them all throwaways, because a lot of these guys are leaving. They just recently signed CM Punk, who just came back from wrestling after not wrestling for like 6 years now. And then and then the former Daniel Bryan, who is now Bryan Danielson, that is now over there. And then
interesting.
A ton of other professional wrestlers that are there. Well, current wrestlers and former wrestlers that are coming over there as personalities. The one that's taking his time right now because he's actually dealing with a PR situation is Ric Flair.
Ooh.
Yes. So, Ric Flair, I don't know if you heard about the situation with Ric Flair. but there's a documentary that I love. If you ever get an opportunity to watch it, it's called Dark Side of the Ring. It comes on Vice.
Okay.
They're in season 3. The debut to the second half of season 3 is a story called the Plane Ride from Hell. Now, wrestling fans and big time wrestling, I should say bigger wrestling fans, have heard about said plane ride, which happened in 2002, right?
Right.
Now, I've heard bits and pieces of the story, but one, there were a couple of holes that were filled in, but they weren't that bad. And then 2, to have that story told by non-wrestlers makes it seem a little bit worse than what it was, right? One of the things that happened is that Ric Flair was out there on the plane, drunk as all of the wrestlers that were there were, because they were stuck on the tarmac for 7 hours, and all they did was drink. And in some cases, they were drugged while drinking as well.
Wow.
But Flair, who is known to be an exhibitionist, approached a airline stewardess by swinging his genitalia at her.
What?
Now, yes. Now, those that know Rick and have worked with Rick and have been on tour with Rick know that he's done stuff like that in the past. And he doesn't necessarily mean anything sexual by it. But when it's done to someone who hasn't experienced it, it becomes an issue, which it has. The thing is, it's not being handled well by the wrestlers now. I understand it. Their perception is their perception, but her perception is her perception too. And you can't denounce her perception. If she feels bad, respect the fact that she feels bad. End of story. But, you know, Rick's trying to defend himself. Wrestler Tommy Dreamer, who was there and also was a part of the documentary, has been released from indefinitely from Impact Wrestling because of his comments on the documentary, which were incendiary. But my whole point is the Cons have a huge investment in AEW. They're generating a lot of revenue there, which, if they're generating enough, could buy out Urban Meyer. And you know, then it probably will lead to what he probably wants, which is to go into the collegiate ranks. But I don't think he's walking away. They're gonna have to fire him to get him out of there.
Right. Yeah. I think that's I don't think he's gonna want to leave on his own terms. Let's put it that way. I think he's a grinder. I'll say this. I tease him for having all of a sudden health issues when things get tough for him. And want to spend time with his family when things get tough for him, like they did in Florida.
And that's been thrown out there before, right? And the thing is, he also understands perception. So he's not going to go ahead and do anything too wild to make him. He's not going to leave. It will take for. He's not going to walk away without proper cause. That sounds good.
Right.
So yeah, it's going to take for him to get fired.
So basically, we won't be seeing, in all likelihood, won't be seeing a Nick Saban, Bobby Petrino type situation where they just.
We most definitely won't see a Bobby Petrino situation where he leaves the following Monday after a game. No.
And leaves goodbye notes.
I don't think so.
And leaves goodbye notes in the chair step, confronting him and just saying, yeah.
Exactly, right? Yeah.
He's a slime ball. I mean, he's been persona non grata ever since. When he took that fall at Arkansas, then back at Louisville again. Yeah. He's not going anywhere in the NFL roster ever again. So not as Nick Saban for that matter. I may fit Nick Saban just fine. But anyway, it remains to be seen what's going on, because this ain't over. Obviously, this ain't over. This is going to be fast. Jacksonville has become must-see TV now.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. That little bitty ass TMZ-esque. Yeah. Because, I mean, if you go back, I meant to bring this up earlier. It's when with the case that Rob Parker and Chris Broussard were making last night. From jump, he did some very, and we're not talking about with Ohio State, with Fuller, with the Hernandez kid, overlooking his legal issues and many other players. I forgot about that when he was at Florida. That's right. And Ohio State, where his boy, I think Zach Miller, was beating his wife, now ex-wife. And he claimed
that's right, the coach.
Right, his assistant coach, he had a blind spot for, claimed that he didn't know, even though his wife very much knew what was going on.
Yeah.
And maybe she may not tell him directly, but she probably like, and since she knew the wife very well at the time, like, we need to check in on such as, you know how women talk.
Yeah, pillow talk. Yes.
Yeah, pillow talk.
Pillow talk happens.
To say something. Yes. So that's why I'm like, yeah, you knew, bro. Come on now. And so, and we all knew about those instances, right? And then when he originally hired that strength and conditioning coach from Iowa, who pretty much those kids came out and accused of racial insults and bullying and intimidation, and Urban's was defending himself. Then he finally just let him go.
Yeah.
And then, I think a couple other things too, but that was the main one. Oh, the Tim Tebow thing. Bring him as a tight end. Come on. As soon as he brought Tim Tebow, I'm like, what the hell?
But even the Tim Tebow thing is low on the total pole in my eyes.
Compared to the strength and conditioning coach.
Yes, but it's still incendiary, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, my God, excuse me. But yeah, my God, this whole thing has just been hilarious. And you're right. It's becoming TMZ-esque. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But yeah, because that's two on his ledger already at Jacksonville already. With the strength and conditioning coach and now being a part of the DPG, the Dog Pound Gropers. Yeah, that's exactly what it is.
And it's not
shout
even
out to my man D Parker out there.
There you go. And we barely passed the quarter of the season. The quarter point of the season.
We just got to the quarter point of the season.
Man, this again, they're going to be must-see. TMZ likes TV. I'm going to tune into what happens in Jacksonville because it's a train wreck. The players don't believe in him. The ownership doesn't believe in him anymore. He's on shaky ground. His family's pissed off at him. It's interesting, man. I feel bad for Trevor Lawrence because I think he's a good kid. I think he has the potential to be a stud. Like I said, if Urban finds a way, I don't know how, but if he finds a way to turn around, starts winning some football games, they don't have to make the playoffs. Hell, that division's weak as hell anyway. But just have him on the right track heading to next season, I think he might be okay. But again, he has to get the locker room back. He has to be accountable. He has to start practicing what he preaches to his players because they're seeing through his ass like saran wrap. They see right through him. And it's going to be interesting to see what happened there. All right, enough about the TMC bullshit. Let's get to our Black HBCU Sports segment with Dwayne Nash. It's brought to you by absolutely no one, but hey, we can take a sponsor too. But he's going to bless us with some knowledge of the HBCU happenings in sports, particularly obviously in the middle of football right now. So, So basically, I know you jump at the bit to share some news. So the floor is yours.
Oh yes, this is going to be a very interesting weekend coming up, right? Okay. First and foremost, it's homecoming season. Homecoming season officially started 2 weeks ago with St. Aug and them having their homecoming on the 25th of September. But
that's early for homecoming.
It is, right?
Jesus Christ. Yeah.
I'm trying to remember if there's at least one school that has a September homecoming every year, but I just know for sure that St. Aug's had theirs on the 25th. Right. But this week you got Alabama the Alabama A&M homecoming. You're about to find out why I made that reaction in just a moment. Okay. Alabama State is having their homecoming this year. So is Albany State with Cookman. Bluefield State. Shout out to Bluefield State. Okay. This is their first season in many time Katie's. I want to say the early to mid 80s. They finally brought their program back. I think they're undefeated. If not, they're a one-loss team. But they've beaten, I want to say they're undefeated. They've beaten two CIAA teams, even though they're not even in the CIAA. They've beaten two CIAA teams. They're looking very good for a first-year program right now. It's going to be very interesting to see what happens with this program and where they end up moving to, because there's a potential it could be the CIAA. We'll just have to wait and see exactly
what team is this again?
In the future.
Is this Bluefield State?
This is Bluefield State. Yes, okay, Bluefield State that's in West Virginia. Got it. And also Hampton, who faces Kennesaw State this week. Oh my God, they're about to have a tough homecoming. Kentucky State, and Livingstone and Miles College, Virginia Union, they all have their homecomings this week. So hopefully everybody enjoys your homecoming coming up this. Well, actually, it's going on right now. It's homecoming week, right? So yeah, hopefully everybody's enjoying their homecoming. But let me go ahead and run down FCS HBCU action for this week.
Yes, sir.
Game that's going to be right around the corner from the crib. Morgan State at Howard. Under the lights. This is going to be the first time since probably the 80s that that time frame again. We talked about the 80s for the third time in the show. First time since the 80s that Howard will be playing under the lights, if you will, at 8 p.m. on Friday night on ESPN. What is it on ESPNU? On ESPNU, 8 o'clock. So you have that game. Then, of course, you got A&T and some more Big South action. They got their second game at the crib in the Big South against North Alabama. And then, of course, Hampton's playing Kennesaw State on their homecoming. Then, of course, with the MEAC, Dale State will be playing fellow HBCU Virginia of Lynchburg. Okay.
There's a HBCU in Lynchburg, Virginia, of all places.
It sure is, yes, sir. Right,
what?
Exactly, right. That was my thought too. If memory serves me, yeah, right. Like when I first heard about them when they first came back and they played A&T in their first year, I think it was 2013 of coming back for football. So yeah, that program, they're still on the ropes trying to get things together there. And trying to get a resurgence in that program too. But yeah, it's interesting. I've written through Lynchburg, and every time I see that sign for Virginia of Lynchburg, I'm always in shock, just like you. Central will be playing against Ohio Valley Conference opponent Tennessee Tech. Like I said before, it's Alabama State's homecoming. They got Arkansas Pine Bluff. Alcorn got a tough matchup against Grambling. Because Grambling has legit owned them in recent years. I think they're like winners of 7 in their last 8. And Coach Fobb, as a head man over at over at Grambling, has beaten Fred McNair, head coach over at Alcorn, 4 out of the past 5 times. Oh, wow. So, yeah, they've owned them, even though Alcorn has been the representative of the SWAC in the Celebration Bowl for the 5 years there. So it's been rather interesting, right? Who else in the SWAC? Southern and Texas Southern. I'm going to get to Texas Southern a little bit later, because even though they got their win at their homecoming game last year, it doesn't count in their record. I'll get to that in a little. This is going to be a did you know a little bit later. Okay. Also, Mississippi Valley State and Bethune-Cookman. With Bethune-Cookman looking to get their first win of the season against a Mississippi Valley State team last week that got their very first win of the year in an odd fashion. You talk about bad coaching. I don't want to sit here and talk about Trey Oliver. I like Trey Oliver, even though he is the head coach over North Carolina Central. But you're up at halftime and you got the ball and time is running out late in the half. What do?
You run the ball, right? Wait a second. If you're up, if you're winning
at halftime.
At halftime, okay.
Well, right before halftime, you're winning and you got the ball. What do?
Now, if they're in scoring territory, I say go for it. If not, just sit on the ball, take a knee, go into the locker room.
Yeah, right. I don't remember if they were in scoring territory, but I doubt it. But they passed the ball, and the pick 6 happened.
Oh
right?
My God!
So that's number 1. Number 2, the go-ahead touchdown scored by Mississippi Valley State was scored with no time on the clock. Yes, there are a lot of people who say that touchdown was questionable, but it was given up in the last seconds of the game. So, yeah, they gave up scores in the final seconds of the first half and the second half. So, yeah, Central, they need this win against Texas Tech in a bad way. But yeah, that Mississippi Valley State Bethune-Cookman game is going to be interesting. And then, of course, you got South Carolina State and Florida A&M going head up in a game of 2 former MEAC opponents playing this weekend down in down in Tallahassee. But yeah, Jackson State, Alabama A&M.
That's going to be a doozy.
A big doozy, right? You got the 8th best offense in the nation in Jackson State. and the 6th best offense in the nation in Alabama A&M going up, head up, right? Combine that with the fact that Shedeur Sanders, quarterback over at Jackson State, and Akil Glass, Alabama A&M, are the best 2 quarterbacks in the conference, if not top 15 passers in the nation, easily, right? You take that into consideration. And there's beef off the field between the head coaches. It's just verbal,
yes,
but it's still fun nonetheless.
I almost forgot about that. Correct.
You know, after beating Jackson State during the spring, you know, head coach Connell Maynard over at Alabama A&M was asked about Jackson State recruiting 4 and 5 star players, and Maynard's response was, "We'll go get you some more 5 stars." Now, mind you,
I love the pettiness. I love the pettiness. Right? Yeah,
that's exactly what Coach Sanders did, and you can see it in their improvement in their defense, right? Mm-hmm. Fast forward to Monday, you know, all conferences have their weekly press conferences, the MEAC, the SWAC, and I know for sure A&T has theirs on Monday.
Okay.
At the end of his presser, Connell Maynard again says, but at the end of it, he asked, well, he makes a statement, and I quote, "Hey, Dion, last week after our game against Grambling, I stumbled and fell off the bus, and I hurt my ankle. Do you have an extra scooter for me?" Now, you haven't been paying attention. Coach Sanders just recently had surgery on his foot. So he's been on the sidelines with a scooter. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, he made a joke about the scooter being sent a second scooter. Nice. So later on in the presser, I didn't know at the time, and still don't necessarily know if it was that or if Dion remembers what was said during the spring, which he probably does because he's petty like us. He's like, "I know that you guys are looking for me to make comments in response to what's been said to me. I'm going to take the high road. But if I win, I know you guys are going to be looking for a quote from me. All I'm going to have to say is just wait." Oh, my God. So you got 2 good teams, 2 good QBs.
Wow.
Off the field beef. And it's Alabama A&M's homecoming.
Wow. That's why he says the homecoming. Yeah.
Yes. I will be watching on ESPN Plus at 1 p.m. Most definitely. Mm-hmm. That's where I'm going to be. So yeah, that's going to be a good. I had it top 5 game going into the season. Right now, I got it ranked number 1 based upon the importance of the game and all of the beef that's involved in it and the quality of play. Because I wasn't expecting this Jackson State's defense to be this good. But in order for them to win, they're going to have to force turnovers from Akil Glass, which he did last week against Grambling. Grambling forced 5 turnovers, the 5th being their final drive of the game, which sealed it for them. So if they can force turnovers, which they can, because that front line of Jackson State, well, I should say just their front line, but Jackson State's defense, they have 15 sacks so far in the season, which leads to SWAC. So yeah, they can put pressure on Akil, get him to force turnovers, and if they can get consistency from that offense, because you know there have been periods in which Shedeur and that running game has not looked good. If they can get consistency, like they did when they beat down on Tennessee State, then this is going to be a game for the season. It's going to be it's probably going to be the game of the year. That's not the Celebration Bowl in my eyes already.
Yeah, that's a doozy for homecoming at that. Do you think the schedule makers knew what they were doing, making them the homecoming game?
You know, it's already in advance that it was going to be homecoming.
That's true too.
It's already in advance.
That's true.
The thing is, though,
that would have been sweet though if it wasn't. But go ahead.
If it wasn't, and they decided to switch it, well, I take that back because Howard changed their date for homecoming at the last minute this year. So it may or may not have been. Well, the scheduling and who they were going to play. So it's a possibility, Scott, that might have been a thing. If they decided, you know what? But God knows they don't want to lose a homecoming either. And there's a possibility they could lose this one. But it's going to be ooh, this is going to be a good one.
Man, it's just it's something else, dude. It is. Wow. All I have to say is just wow.
I know, right?
Wow.
I
so
know. Like when that first shot was took get you some more 5 stars, I was like, ooh, I can't wait till next year. It was in the fall. Ooh, I can't wait. And yeah, to find out that all of that is on the line, and it's the division is on the line too.
Yeah,
the division is on the line. So yeah, the winner of this will most definitely be in the bird seat of the division. Yeah. So
didn't A&M win the conference last year?
They sure did.
Yeah,
they sure did.
So they're the defending champs.
Yeah. So along with doing so, they did so with a beatdown of Jackson State in Jackson.
Yeah.
So that was one of the things that Coach Prime brought up too, was the fact that, we didn't necessarily learn. Well, we learned more about us in that game than we learned about them. Now we were going to make improvements, and they did so. Yes. So yeah, but this is the did you know? Because I had no idea about this.
Okay.
So like I said before, last week, Texas Southern, who's playing Southern this week, got their first win of the season.
Yes.
Got their homecoming.
Yes.
But when I kept looking at their record on the SWAC's website and on other websites that are not Texas Southerns, it said that they were still winless, right?
Yeah.
So I inquired, why is that the case? And this is the information that was given from me from the head of media over at the SWAC. And I quote, North America has been classified by the NCAA as a non-countable opponent. Please see link below for more information. So I clicked on the link. It's a PDF from the NCAA where they actually have a list of non-countable opponents in collegiate football. I didn't know such lists existed.
I didn't either. I did not either until now.
Yeah, right. So Texas Southern's beat down of North American, which was also in Houston with them, does not count on their record. Now, they set a bunch of team records in that game, but unfortunately, that game does not count in their ledger as a win or a loss. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, it would have stung more had they lost.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, it doesn't count.
Coach probably would have been fired on the tarmac.
Ooh, well, it would have been on the tarmac. It would have been right out there in the parking lot.
Right in the parking lot, yeah.
But yeah, dude, there was, when I saw that, I thought that was very interesting. Non-countable team.
How many teams are on that list?
Let me see if I can open it up real quick.
All right.
But my guess is that a lot of these teams, a lot of these programs are programs that are either just starting out or like lower level. Mm-hmm. Not even, because I don't even think they're D2. So I don't know what level that North America.
So they're below NAIA. They're below NAIA then probably.
Something like that. Yeah. So, all right, here's the institutions that are on that list. So it's Galveston College.
Okay.
Who is in Galveston, Texas, Hampshire College, University of God's Chosen in Fayetteville, Illinois Central College. Let's see, all of these are colleges, right?
Right.
Indian River State College. These are all colleges you probably never heard of.
No, I have no idea.
Indiana University, Purdue University of Columbus in Columbus, Indiana, Landmark College, College of Lake County, Lewis Clark Valley College Football Association, whoever the hell that is, Maryland Bible College and Seminary in Baltimore, North American, Oglala Lakota College in South Dakota, Ohio Midwestern College, and then there's a bunch of other schools. So yeah, a ton of these schools are, a lot of them, whether don't meet don't meet accreditation or membership requirements, or the institution is not a 4-year degree grant institution. So that's what a lot of these institutions, or why they do not meet the NCAA's list of countable opponents.
I didn't know such lists existed. And I don't know I may have heard of Galveston just because I spent some time in Texas. I have no idea. Those other teams, those other schools, really? That's like what's the name of that show? Like that's like Friday Night Nights like made up schools. Yeah.
I know, right? I'm
Crazy.
like, my God. Well, I know a lot of these schools, they want to go ahead and they want to have football programs and they're looking to get established and they have to get established somehow, some way, right? But yeah, I didn't realize that there was ever such a thing as a non-countable. Like I've seen programs start out like Bluefield State and other ones that don't have conference, and Edward Waters at one point in time that don't have conference affiliation,
right?
But non-countable? I had never heard of non-countable before. So here we go. Even Virginia of Lynchburg was countable. So yeah, that's the first time I've ever heard of non-countable.
It's crazy. That's crazy. Well, I guess we have a little bit of time, but I want to just add this right quick. This was just made the news this week. It was time to think about it, but it was in the back of my mind. The NWSL, the National Women's Soccer League. I don't know if you know about this.
Yes, sir.
They dealt with earlier this week and last week. They dealt with like sexual coercion allegations by former North Carolina Courage, which is one of the more successful teams in this league. Their former manager, find his name here, Riley. Riley's his last name. Paul Riley. Paul Riley, yes. Yeah, so it was like, and apparently it was like years. This went on for the past 6 years, plural, right? So for those who don't know, like some of like Crystal Dunn, members of the U.S. Women's National Team, played for the North Carolina Courage at least at one point. So that
and a lot of those women from that team play in the NWSL.
Correct. Yeah. A lot of them do, and as well as the Women's Premier League, English Premier League as well. But basically, it got so bad that not only was Riley fired immediately, they ended up just getting rid of the commissioner. Yeah, the commissioner got rid of too. Yeah. The general counsel as well, because apparently they were complicit and not pushing it forward. Those allegations forward, the investigations forward. So there was a complicity took place from the top down. Yeah. And always the top, which is crazy. And a women's league won by women, essentially. They dropped the ball, which is crazy. But basically this week, the NWSL Players Association made a stand amid allegations as the play resumed, but they just took a stand and said, nah. So basically teams stopped play. I mentioned 6 years it took for the allegations to come to light against the former manager Paul Riley. The teams this week stopped play in the 6th minute, all the games. Oh, wow. So they really made a statement by stopping in the 6th minute. In the 6th minute, a recognition of the 6 years it took for the allegations made by those two players, Mana Shim and Sinead Fairley, I guess, of sexual coercion and harassment against the former manager Riley to come to light. And then the announcement was accompanied by the hashtag No More Silence. Great. Wonderful for them. Wonderful. It's great for them. Props to them. I'm just sad that this is still going on, especially at a professional league of women. Now women ran by women. Yes. And the thing is that, a lot of this talk for pay, not pay for play, but for equality for pay. And these women are putting it on the line, the training, they don't get paid that much, even though the base salary was bumped up recently, and with some negotiations between the players and the owners, but still is lagging behind given the talent level of these women. Yeah. And again, like you said, some of these women play on the national team and kicking ass and dealing with their own bullshit with your soccer and not getting paid equally, even though they're better than the men. But the point is that this is just sad. It's just fucked up on so many levels that professional women and the sports league that's been gaining steam. Yeah. Right. After the women won the gold medal, not the gold medal, but the World Cup. Yeah. It would get picked up, like CBS picked up some broadcasting rights. I think ESPN picked up some broadcasting rights. I think Fox Sports may be in the mix. But we need more support for these women. I'm not trying to say that to be condescending or to be, what's the other word? Patronizing. I'm just saying because these are real athletes who kick ass.
Yes, sir.
On not only a national, but a global level. And I think that we, as I include myself too, as sports fans, people, whatever, we need to support these women more, man. And stop. And I just wish that people running the league and some of these teams, I just wish that these women did not have to deal with it. I really wish, because again, these are grown ass women having to put up with this shit still. So I just wanted to throw that out there. Want to give a shout out to the NWSL players for making a stand. And I thought I'd share that because it's getting talked about, but not nearly talked about as I think it should be.
Yeah, and two big. Well, one achievement is bigger than the other. Let me go ahead and start with the smaller one first. WWE, World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon, they have their annual draft. I don't know if you knew that pro wrestling now has a draft now because they have
that.
Yeah, they now have 2 shows, but 2020 Olympic gold medalist Gable Stevenson, freestyle wrestler.
I heard about him.
The black dude. I'm not sure it's called him the black dude, but the African American male. Is now going to be working for the WWE and wrestling on Monday nights on Raw.
Nice.
So he's made that decision to go to the pro wrestling route. After saying he was being courted by both the WWE and by the UFC to come and join them. So that's the decision he decided to make. And then, of course, congratulations to Bubba Wallace being the second African American.
I forgot about him. I'm sorry. My bad, Bubba Wallace. My bad.
No, because you know what? I forgot about him too. I'm not going to sit here and lie. Until we started talking about the women. And I'll get to that in just a moment. But yeah, congratulations to Bubba Wallace for being the second African American to win a NASCAR race and the first to do so in 58 years. But yo, NASCAR fans, I'm gonna need y'all to quit it. I know it ain't all of y'all because I know the sport is growing, right? You don't just have to get closer for this because you know what happens whenever I get closer. I got some stuff I got to say, right?
Yes, get it off your chest, brother.
Yeah, right. You know that the sport is growing. I'm gonna need some of y'all to stop it. For those out there who believe that the race was fixed out in Talladega, because he didn't win in Talladega. So to get a win, and to get a win in an iconic spot like Talladega,
and people don't know how big that is. That's huge.
Yeah, that's super huge.
Outside of Daytona, that's huge. Man.
Yeah. So but for those of y'all who said that the race was fixed, I'm gonna need y'all to stop.
Right.
There have been so many other opportunities, because if you want to go ahead and use George Floyd as the mark of all of this change, right? There have been so many other opportunities where Bubba Wallace could have won, and they could have fixed it to do it. Matter of fact, you know when they could have fixed it for him to win? After the new situation, Bama.
That's right.
Why wait now?
Right.
In order for him to fix a race.
Yeah.
My God.
People go through so many lengths to hate, and I'm not saying it's, to your point, it's not all. I don't think it's all racial. I just think there's a lot of hate out there, but there's some race and don't get it twisted. Race is an element in this. It may not be the main element because haters exist everywhere. We get all that.
They do.
But
you know what, Scott? I'm going to go ahead and say that it is race involved because
it is.
Because of the
not a main point, but yeah.
No, I'm going to go ahead and say it's the main point because of the achievement, because of the fact that he is the first black man to win a NASCAR race in 58 years.
Yeah.
58 years.
Yeah.
Now it's race. It's
yeah, since ironically you said that it was really fixed allegations because the last African American to do it was Wendell Scott in 1963 in Jacksonville, Florida. I'm gonna educate you motherfuckers in case you don't know. In 1963 in Jacksonville, Florida, there was a NASCAR. It was a NASCAR race. It wasn't called it. It wasn't the Winston Cup then. I think we still call it something else. But anyway,
it was something before the Winston. Yeah.
Right. So anyway, it was a race where he won fair and square. But back in those days, they counted the laps and they were doing the checker flags, right? So he went around, won at fair and square. He didn't have to check a flag out. So he went around the track again. Didn't bother to check a flag. Again, laps and stuff were calculated differently back then. So another guy, I forget his name, I want to say Bud Barker, but I probably got the name wrong, came around ahead of him, and they put the checker flag out then and there.
Wow.
Because
they tried.
And because they said at the time, because at the time, it was customary for two women, very beautiful women, to kiss the driver and pose pictures.
Of course.
And you can imagine the color of those two women were white women.
Of course, right?
So they didn't want
they didn't want no parts.
They didn't want the parts of a black man, even though that Wendell Scott was fairer than me and you, as far as complexion. He could have passed. Yeah. But anyway, they were hating on him to the point where they didn't say anything, but I guess it was like a lot of people were mad. Even the white people at the race were mad. Yeah. That Wendell Scott got fucked like that. So long story short, they end up just doing a my bad during the week and gave the trophy back to Wendell Scott after, So that's what he had to deal with. So that's what you call a race is fixed. When they don't want you to win, when you're doing it with both, but it's just a bunch of hand-me-down parts because he didn't have a sponsor. Yeah, that's when races were truly fixed. They didn't want that brother to win. Yeah. So now it's not like if people are acting like these same motherfuckers are acting like race-shortened races don't happen. They've happened many times. Yes. This is a race. This was a rain-shortened race, which Bubba made the move to get ahead because he knew he had a feeling they were going to call the race. So he made the moves to stay in front for as many laps as he could, and he won it fair and square. It happens. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, some of the biggest names in NASCAR again won like that. Rain-shortened races. It happens. It happens. So miss me of all that bullshit about the race being fixed and him not earning it because they didn't complete the race. Get the fuck out of here. People don't know a goddamn thing about NASCAR who say those things. Yes, I'm cussing a lot. I don't give a fuck because it's stupid. People are just stupid. Just give the man his due. Give him his due. And by the way, one last thing about what you referenced earlier. Mm-hmm. He never saw that news. He saw the news after the fact. His boy, one of his people who worked for him, told him. Yeah. Told him. Then he went and saw it. They got the FBI involved. The FBI involved concluding that it wasn't used as intimidation. They did say it was a noose. We saw the picture on the news on social media. It was a fucking noose. Stop it. Stop it.
Well, yeah, if they wanted to fix a race, that's when you do it. Yeah. Give them the make right? Yeah. Not a year later. No. Yeah. But it is what it is. Dude. It is what it is. But congrats to Bubba Wallace. Yes, man, I need Bubba Wallace now to win Daytona. If he wins Daytona, he's good. If he wins the Coca-Cola 500 in Charlotte, Concord, he's good. I mean, people don't know about it's really in Concord. Yeah, it's right outside. Yeah, instead of Charlotte. But anyway, the point is, if he wins those two, and he's good. Yeah, he's good. But anyway, congrats to Bubba Wallace. He finally has a team to provide him the resources. The Michael Jordan Racing Team, co-owned by Denny Hamlin, I think his name is. So, okay. So he's got the resources now. He has the car. It's all on him now. But congrats to him for breaking through. Yeah, albeit rain short or what have you. He's earned it, and hopefully he'll turn to more wins. And I really make the haters mad. He's bringing a lot of black people to NASCAR. You know that, right? He is. He really is. I just want to point that out too. But before we go, I want to go back real quick to the National Women's Soccer League real quick, quick. I forget the name of the head coach here in Washington for the Washington Spirit, who was also alleged to be tied up in all of this because he was removed from his post as well. Oh, okay, good. But yeah, you asked whether or not I knew anything about the league or whatever. But yeah, the NWSL was our Sleeves of the Week last night because of everything that went on. Right. Yeah, so we went ahead and we talked about them last night as well. They just narrowly beat out, in my eyes, Urban Meyer, the groper, PG, because I wanted it to be him so bad. Well, I'm glad you guys brought that to light, though. I'm glad you guys brought that to light over Urban Meyer. Yeah. Thank y'all for that. Yeah. Most definitely. Yeah. So anyway, this is a hell of a way to end the podcast. But again, congrats to Bubba Wallace. I'm gonna say it again. Congrats to you, Bubba Wallace. Fuck the haters. You keep doing your damn thing out there. Yes. And congrats to the people who supported him and just sensible fans out there who recognize this achievement of being the second black driver to win a race, a NASCAR-sponsored race. Yes.
So there you go. So thank y'all for tuning into the nice edition of the podcast. Please check out the Wayne Nash on the Yards HBCU Sports, all things HBCU Sports, as well as Sleazy with it every Tuesday on Facebook Live. Herosports.com, his great work on FCS as it pertains to FCS athletics, as it pertains to HBCU Sports. TheClownTimes.net. Click subscribe, share, comment, like, dislike. I don't give a fuck. Just do something. We're picking up more subscribers, the more the merrier. Thank y'all very much. Get the merch on cafepress.com.
Get that merch.
Search for the Clown Town Sports. All the links I told you about, his great work. Point this way. his great work on the Yards HBCU.com, Herosports.com. I'm gonna keep posting other Black HBCU links, HBCU Game Day, to continue to get the word out as well as my merchandise website as well. So take care, guys. Enjoy this weekend of college football. Enjoy the big matchups in college football this weekend. For those of you who love HBCU athletics, please check out Jackson State, Alabama A&M. That's their homecoming. A lot of bad blood. You know the pettiness is coming, as well as other games that'll be on ESPN3 this weekend.
Huge slate this weekend on ESPNU, ESPN3, and ESPN Plus, starting this Friday. Howard, Morgan State at Howard in the lights, 8 p.m. You won't be disappointed in this weekend slate, most definitely.
There you go. So until then, take care. Have a great weekend. We are out.